You take a bite of a burger and the thought arrives mid-chew. This is beef. There's no ham anywhere, so why do we call it a hamburger? The word feels obvious until you split it in half, ham plus burger. And suddenly it sounds like a childhood prank we all agreed not to question. But the truth is stranger and calmer. The name isn't a mistake, and it isn't about meat at all. It's about a place, a journey, and the way language edits history while we're busy eating. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. A city inside your lunch, Hamburg. Hamburger starts as a place name, Hamburg, a major port city in northern Germany. Long before it meant anything edible, Hamburg was a coordinate, a point where ships, languages, and habits crossed paths. In the 18th and 19th centuries, port cities were the internet of the physical world. Sailors moved in and out, immigrants passed through. Cargo arrived with unfamiliar labels. Recipes traveled the same way people did, packed into memory, adjusted on the fly, and shared wherever someone was willing to cook. So when you hear hamburger, the first correct question isn't "where's the ham?" It's "where's the Hamburg?" And once you ask that, the next question arrives immediately. What exactly did Hamburg contribute that could stick so hard it survived an ocean, a language shift, and a century of fast food? Let's meet the burger before the bun. The burger before the bun. The key ancestor here is something menus used to call Hamburg steak. This wasn't a sandwich. It was minced or finely chopped beef, seasoned, shaped into a patty, and served in a way that ranged from raw to lightly cooked depending on the time, the place, and the cook. Sometimes it was smoked, sometimes it was simply practical. That practicality matters. Tougher cuts of beef can be hard to chew, but grind them fine, and you change the texture. You make the meat easier to work with, faster to cook, and more forgiving. In other words, you turn difficult beef into everyday beef. And that's the quiet trick of a lot of simple foods. They aren't invented out of luxury. They're invented out of logistics. So Hamburg steak wasn't about ham. It wasn't even about a sandwich. It meant beef prepared in the style associated with Hamburg, like a culinary accent. Then, in the 1800s, large numbers of German immigrants arrived in the United States. They didn't just bring suitcases, they brought taste memory. American restaurants picked up the idea and started listing Hamburg steak on menus. By the late 19th century, it was recognizable in multiple cities, but the most important upgrade was still ahead, and it was almost embarrassingly simple. When a plate became a handheld meal. At some point, historians still debate exactly where, someone put that patty between bread. Maybe it happened at a county fair. Maybe it was a diner. Maybe it was multiple places at once, because good ideas don't always have a single birthplace. What matters is what the bread did. Bread turned Hamburg steak from a meal you sit down for into a meal you move with. It made it portable. It made it cheaper to sell. It made it possible to eat with one hand, while your other hand did something modern life demanded: holding a bag, opening a door, guiding a kid, catching a bus. That's the moment the dish stops being a way to prepare beef and starts being an object, a sandwich with a shape you can recognize from a distance. And once something becomes portable, it doesn't just travel faster through cities. It travels faster through language, because now people aren't just ordering Hamburg steak. They're ordering the thing they can carry. They're saying the name quickly. They're shortening it. They're making it fit into the rhythm of everyday speech, and that's where the strangest transformation happens, not in a kitchen, but in your ear. How burger was born. Here's the subtle misfire that changed everything. English speakers began unconsciously splitting hamburger into ham plus burger. It looks obvious on the page. It sounds obvious in your head. But historically, the ham part was never meant to describe pork. It was just the first part of Hamburg. Language, though, doesn't obey original meanings. It obeys patterns that feel useful. Once people heard burger as the core idea, they treated it like a building block. Linguists have a name for this kind of creation: back formation. A longer word gets trimmed, and the trimmed piece becomes a new word that people start using as if it always existed. That's how burger escaped the city name. And once it escaped, it multiplied. Cheeseburger, veggie burger, turkey burger, plant-based burger. The word became a template, and the template became a category. Ironically, the misunderstanding didn't just survive, it made the menu bigger. And here's the side effect you've probably noticed without naming it. Once burger becomes the category, it starts ignoring beef. In some countries you'll see chicken burger, where Americans would say chicken sandwich. The word is no longer a promise about meat. It's a promise about shape, format, and how you eat it. This is one of those moments where the human brain accidentally does product design. We simplify, we compress, we extract a pattern. Then we build an entire world on top of the pattern like it was intentional. And once the word burger exists, the next chapter writes itself. Industrial scale. The fast food amplifier, from dish to icon. The hamburger didn't explode in popularity just because it tasted good. It exploded because it could be standardized. In 1921, White Castle opened in Kansas and focused almost entirely on small hamburgers. That choice wasn't random. At the time, ground beef had a reputation problem. People worried about cleanliness and consistency, about what might be hiding in the grind. White Castle sold the opposite idea. Bright, controlled, predictable. Not just food, but reassurance. Then, in 1940, McDonald's was founded in California and pushed the logic even further. Streamline the process, reduce variation, speed everything up. The burger becomes less like a home dish and more like a system, something you can reproduce at scale in different towns, different states, eventually different countries. And when global chains spread, the hamburger stopped feeling like a German-inspired idea. It became an American symbol that happened to carry a German place name like a fossil in its spelling, which raises the question you can feel forming. If we know it isn't ham, why don't we fix the word? Why the name never got fixed? Because language isn't a courtroom. It doesn't update itself when you present evidence. Words stick because people repeat them, because they're tied to memories, because they're attached to cultural objects that become bigger than their origins. Hamburger shifted meaning in layers. First it was tied to a place, then it described beef prepared in a Hamburg style. Then it became the handheld sandwich most people picture today. Bun, patty, maybe lettuce and tomato, maybe melted cheese. Notice what disappears over time. The map. The original geography fades, and the object becomes the meaning. Today, when you say hamburger, almost nobody thinks of northern Germany. They think of lunch. That's also why different countries label it differently. In the UK, beef burger is common, more literal, more ingredient-forward. In the US, hamburger is the habit that won. Once a word becomes normal, it stops asking permission from logic. And yes, sometimes ham really does show up in burgers now. Bacon, ham slices, mixed pork and beef blends. But those are modern variations. The name was never about the meat, it was about the method and the place. Still, it's nice to leave a video with something you can actually use the next time you're staring at a menu. The 5-second rule. Is it a place name? Here's the 5-second rule for food names that sound misleading. Listen for geography. If a name contains a place, Hamburg, Buffalo, Bologna, it usually describes origin or style, not a literal ingredient list. The word is a passport stamp, not a recipe. So, hamburger isn't ham plus burger. It's Hamburg, carried into English, shortened for convenience, then reshaped by the way people heard it. The ham isn't about ham. It's about history. The word traveled farther than the food. Hamburger is a perfect example of how simple things get built. A port city becomes a food label. A practical way to use tough beef becomes a popular dish. Bread turns it into a portable object. A listening mistake turns part of a word into a whole new category. Then industry scales the category until it becomes a global symbol. So yes, we're technically saying it wrong if we treat ham as pork. But we're also saying it right, because language isn't trying to preserve origins, it's trying to preserve convenience. And that's the quiet beauty hiding in your lunch. Sometimes the story behind the name is as satisfying as the bite itself. When you bite in, you're tasting shipping routes, shortcuts, and human pattern making disguised as food. If you enjoyed this kind of hidden history inside everyday things, hit subscribe, because we're doing more of these. The names, the habits, the tiny details you've seen 1,000 times but never really decoded. New episodes are on the way, so subscribe and you won't miss the next one.